Hello fellow plantophiles. So in this video I'm going to give you guys the plant profile, care, and propagation of Iresine herbstii, if I pronounce it correctly. But first, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date on my latest videos. So this plant, Iresine herbstii, is also known as a chicken gizzard plant, a beefsteak plant, and also more commonly as the Formosa bloodleaf. It's a native of Brazil and neighboring Peru, and based on my research, some websites I found as I made this compilation of information, some claim that it's also native to Ecuador, Honduras, and Nicaragua. I'm wondering about the countries in between Brazil and there in Central America, you know? So sometimes I feel like the information I find may be a little spotty, but hopefully with this compilation that I'm giving you guys, you'll have a good idea of how to care and propagate and have enough basic general geeky knowledge about the plant. So it's hardy with USDA zones 10, 11, and 12 because it is a tropical variety. You can plant it at higher latitudes as an annual in the ground if you wanted to. And it has received an award of garden merit by the Royal Horticultural Society. Now, you can find different cultivars available, and they come in one called Brilliantissima, which has basically like red leaves and pink veins. It also can be, there's another variety called Oreoteculata with green leaves and yellow veins. Now keep in mind that this one has green leaves and yellow veins, but when I bought it, it was dark red. I had it growing on the north side of the building in this pot, and as hot as it's been lately, I've had to keep watering it because these plants do need a lot of water. So this may not be that variety. So just keep that in mind because under different growing conditions, plants will take on different morphs. And as you can see with the dark red stems, when I bought this, the entire plant was that color, which was like a beet red color, if you like beets, you know? And you have a couple other cultivars that I found online, such as Blazing Rose, which has a deep red purple foliage with pinkish red veins, and the Acuminata variety, which has deep maroon leaves with a pinkish to red veining as well. These plants can really get a lot taller than what you see here. They can get up to 3 to 5 feet, or 1 to 1.5 meters, give or take. But when grown in a pot, they're typically not going to get as big. So they'll be a more manageable size. They do love full sun and partial shade, but as you can see by this example, giving it shade does not give you guys the deep red blood color. They do like some rich, well-draining and moist, but still moist, loamy or clay type soils, and they do need to be fed. Well, they don't need to be, but it's recommended to feed them or fertilize them every couple of weeks during the growing season with a water-soluble nitrogen-based fertilizer. This one I really haven't bothered fertilizing much, and it's still lush. And you know, if you pinch the tips, the growing tips, or if it starts to flower with little tiny green flowers that are not very impressive, you can pinch those off if you want a bushier growth. But they also like the soil with a pH in the 5-something range. I really don't test a pH, so you know, I haven't had an issue with this plant. I just stuck it in the pot without drainage holes, and it's been happy. Now, let's get to propagation. People typically propagate this by taking cuttings and sticking in water, known as the water propagation method. But if you've seen my video on issues like the things people don't tell you about water propagation, you'll see that it's not always the best way because The roots growing in water tend to be too fragile that when you stick them into soil, certain plants, they won't survive. So what I'm going to do right now is take a cutting and propagate it, and you're going to see a different method, which it's basically a hybrid between water and soil propagation. So first, I'm going to go ahead and take a cutting. Now, one thing to note with this plant is if you look down here at the bottom where it's kind of flattened out close to the ground, you have little rootlets growing up. So this shows you that it's easy to root this plant. And on this one here, you can see the same thing, lots of little rootlets. So what I'm going to do is, if you notice, this side here doesn't have as much dangling down compared to this side. Now there are a couple things I can do. First I need to open that. Okay, I got my snips. It was giving me trouble opening it. I need to figure out where to cut from. And you see this small stem here that's growing upwards? I'm actually going to take that and I'm going to reach down here and cut it. Now, when you look at the stem, I do have little rootlets right over here, if you guys can see that. And then I have a node, and I'm just going to take this, and I have this pot that I'm going to literally just stick a hole in with okay, and I can stick this in here. Now, I was mentioning I'm doing a hybrid between soil and water propagation. So what that entails is I basically had this pot laying in the garage with a plant that died, and I didn't really condition the soil or anything, but that's not a big ordeal. You can see fragments of dead plant. So the secret to soil propagating plants that are typically water propagated is just to put it in the soil, and if you can do it in a tray of water, or in this case, I don't have a drainage hole, and I'm just watering this until the soil is fully saturated. And the reason being is just like it sits in water, it's sitting in water with soil, so this way as the roots develop and grow, it's going to have the roots acclimated to the soil, and as the soil slowly dries out, you have a nice plant that's established in its pot already. So as this water subsides, once the air bubbles escape, I'll try to make sure this is a little straighter. But that's all there is to simply propagating this beautiful bloodleaf plant. And as I put this in an area of full sun, right now it's July 31st, so tomorrow's, July 30, my bad. So it's almost August, so we're waiting as far as the growing season entails, so I'll probably just have to wait till next year and put this in a sunny location to enjoy the beautiful blood red foliage. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and found the bloodleaf an exciting plant to add to your arsenal of plants. Thanks for watching and happy planting!